What's your price? In life, there is a price to pay. You see, you're going to pay a price to succeed, but you'll also pay a price if you choose not to succeed. Nothing comes free. Regardless of what others may tell you, there is always a price to pay. The question isn't, will you pay a price? Rather, what price are you willing to pay? I want to welcome you to the Unscripted Authentic Leadership Podcast. At Unscripted, we are on a mission to build more leaders to better serve their families, businesses, and communities. It's your comments, likes, ratings, and shares that's continued to help us grow and reach a larger worldwide audience. And so Lafayette and I, from the bottom of our hearts, want to thank you, every single listener, for your support. Let's jump in. The question isn't, will you pay a price? But the question you must ask yourself is, what price am I willing to pay? You will pay the price of success or the regret of failure. The choice is yours. I tell my son all the time, in life, you must develop self-discipline. You can either choose to be disciplined, or the world will do the disciplining for you. Either way, there's discipline. You just have to pick whether you're going to do the work or the world will do the work to you. I want to tell you a story about a rising actor who all of you know. As a young man, he knew he wanted to star in movies. He would visit agents who would tell him over and over that he could never make it. They would say things like, quote, "You look like a big dummy who talks funny out the side of your mouth. Nobody is going to hire you to star in a movie." He actually had an opportunity before his first big film. It came after he had been kicked out of 1,500 agent offices. You say, well, John, there's probably not 1,500 agents. Correct. He would show up 4, 5, 6 times at each one. And he finally got the opportunity because he told one agent he wasn't leaving until he gave him something. So he stayed overnight, and when the agent returned the next day, there he was, waiting for his big opportunity. So the agent said, "Fine, I got something for you." And he gave them the role, a about 30-second role, as acting as a thug who got beat up in the movie. He said, "You look like someone who had been beat up, so here you go. Here's your role." So that's all he got. No other opportunities came after the thug role. He had no money. He couldn't afford to even heat his house. His wife said, "You need to get a regular job," but he refused because he knew that if he had a regular job, he would get comfortable and quit striving towards his dream of starring in movies. He never received any opportunities, so he decided he needed to change his approach. He started reading Edgar Allan Poe, who inspired him to become a writer. He wrote movie script after movie script, and nothing ever caught. He eventually actually sold one script for $100, and that was about it. Eventually, to pay his bills, to put food on the table, he scrapped his wife's jewelry, sent it over to the pawn shop to get some money, and that was her last straw. She actually left him after that. So with his wife gone, it was him and his actual best friend, his dog. Life got so bad that this man, this actor, couldn't afford to feed himself, much less his dog, his best friend in life. So he did the hardest thing he thought he would ever have to do. He sold his dog. He convinced a man at a local liquor store to purchase his dog for $25. It wasn't that he wanted the $25. He wanted someone who could feed his best friend. So he walked away from that moment crying, heartbroken. 2 weeks later, he was watching a boxing match where a fighter was just getting his butt kicked. But he never gave up, and he was instantly inspired. In the next 20 hours, Sylvester Stallone wrote the entire script for the famous movie Rocky. But the journey had just begun. Sure, he stayed up all night and wrote this amazing script that we know today. But at the time, nobody thought it was amazing. He tried to sell the script, nobody wanted it. Finally, after dozens or hundreds of asking so many people, agents, will you buy my script? Finally, someone loved it, and they offered to pay him $125,000 for the script. He said, amazing, just so you know, I want to star in this movie. And they said, whoa, no. This movie's not for you. You are not a star. You, my friend, are a writer. He said, no, I'm a star. No, we are not paying you $125,000 to star in our movie. So Sylvester Stallone turned away the offer. The two guys called him 2 weeks later and offered him $250,000 to not star in his own movie. He turned it down. Remember, he has no money, spending nights without heat nor food, and he turned away $250,000. So they came back with a final offer of $325,000 with the same caveat of you cannot star in this movie. And Sylvester Stallone turned down $325,000. Finally, they came to a compromise. They said, you know what? It's a huge risk with you starring in this movie. So we will pay you $30,000, give you some ownership in the movie, and you can star in the role. But that's all we're willing to invest in you because it is a huge, huge risk. They had a $1 million budget for production. At the end of the movie grossed $200 million. And he was the star in that movie. The Rocky movie was the start of his Hollywood empire. When asked, what did you do with that first $30,000? You were so broke. Did you go party? Did you go have fun? Did you buy food? Sylvester Stallone said the first thing he did is he went back to the liquor store where he sold his dog, his best friend, and he hung around for 3 days hoping the man would show up. Eventually, after 3 days, the man who purchased his dog showed up. He offered to pay the man who gave him $25, $100 for the dog. The man said, no way, this is my dog, get away from me. So Sylvester Stallone said, you know what, I will give you $500. And the man said no. Sylvester's like, I have to have this dog. He's my best friend. I will give you $1,000 for my dog. Now, remind you, today it's normal to pay $1,000 for a dog. But in the 70s, it was ridiculous. Eventually, he gave him $15,000, half of his big payment for that dog, and a part in his movie Rocky. If you've ever seen the movie, there's a dog in that movie called Buckus. Well, did you know that that's his real dog? The $15,000 dog. Unscripted fam, I need you to know that you will pay a price. You will pay the price of success, or you will suffer the pain of regret. It's your choice. Do you realize that people die every day trying to get to the United States of America, just hoping that they can have the opportunity to pay the price for potential success. Don't waste it. Don't allow another day to pass you by without you drawing a line in the sand and saying, this is it. The losing stops here. From this day forward, I'm going to succeed. Outside of my health, of my family, and myself, the price doesn't matter anymore. I love you, and as always, I pray that you be the leader that God has called you to be. Until next time, God bless.